The timing on that is so perfect. Like the timing on that intro is so perfect because I have enough time to share it out to 50 groups. That's the goal. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to Coffee and Sports. This is the morning show. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and I will do this in a way where, look, let me just be very clear when I say this. Mo is here every single day, 24/7, 365, NBA. The guy is constantly in the chat, watches every NBA game known to man. He is the co-host among co-hosts. He's Mo Better. Good morning, Mo.
Hey, good morning, Gene. Good morning, all.
Now,
what's up, man?
We had such a great chemistry Monday and Tuesday with the little four-way action Memorial Day. We figured we'd do it again. We had a great time. Carmike, Will, we got two other people joining us today. And from podcast name Defer, which, by the way, is a really good podcast name. And I love the intro where it says, we defer our name like the Dodgers defer their payroll. I love that. My man, Seven, Mr. Baseball aficionado, he's back on the morning show.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Good show last night, by the way. I was trying to watch in between watching that terrible basketball game. So I was playing yours and muted the basketball game. It was not a fun basketball game to watch. And by the way, I gave the Timberwolves way too much credit. I said it would be a game in the first half. But I did say this. Oklahoma City would not have a starter in by the 5-minute mark. And they pulled all their starters at 5:07. It's pretty decent. In the upper right corner, she will audit you. I'm kidding. Greens and touchdown queens. Key, who does so much for the network, and you don't see her as much on live as you should, but she's been able to get off from work, working from home, whatever, for the next 2 days. She is here to join us. Key in the building.
What up? What up? How y'all doing today?
Hopefully, we're all doing phenomenal. Let's talk about some sports. Let's get into coffee and sports. Let's get into what we need to talk about the most. And normally, Mo knows this. I normally like to save my main event. I don't like to just jump right in and talk about the biggest topic, the biggest story, because, people are still waking up. They're still getting into the podcast. We're still sharing it out. People are like, oh, coffee and sports is on. Let me hop on in. Yeah, I don't have to wait. I don't have to wait after last night's game. Last night's game was not a main event. It wasn't an appetizer. It was a saltine. I had a cracker or something. It was terrible. That game last night was awful. Minnesota did not show up. And I'll steal a word from Mo in the chat. Have some goddamn pride. Mo, tell me what you've seen in last night's game, and then we'll dissect Anthony Edwards' comments afterwards.
Total dominance. You and I talked about this yesterday in the morning show. We both thought it wasn't going to be a very good game. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, though. You're down by 30. You're down by 30. I think almost at the end of the first quarter. It's completely over midway second quarter. Game over. And I thought Minnesota just rolled over. They just gave in to defeat. They just quit. And that's not just on the players. It's on Chris Finch is part of that as well. I just never saw any adjustments. Like, they're picking up at 94 feet with the ball. And what I wanted was the same energy from Minnesota. Every time SGA has the ball, why aren't you bringing two guys over to get the ball in his hands? Why aren't you attacking him the same way they're attacking your guy? Just show some kind of fight. I just thought there was no fight. And look, we could be real plain and go, the better team won, no question. The better team won, but you want to see some kind of effort, some kind of competitive spirit from the other team, and we didn't see that. Like, I can't remember the last time a conference finals game was over early second quarter. I don't remember that. By that margin, you're down 30, man, in an elimination game. You have surrendered. And Richard Jefferson was definitely trying to earn his ESPN paycheck because he kept saying throughout the game, well, in these postseasons, how many times leads have been blown, so don't go away. No, you could go away. You could go away. I'll be honest, I did go away. I went and started watching Daredevil, catching up on Daredevil. It was bad. It was really bad. And I just was disappointed in the fact that they didn't come to compete.
Oh, they definitely didn't come to compete. And if you watched last night's game, you kind of seen, and like we talked about, we called for it last night on Wire to Wire. We called for it yesterday morning on Coffee and Sports. Anthony Edwards needed to show up. Anthony Edwards can't have the fourth most shot attempts on the team. That's not what we meant. We didn't mean take side contested threes.
Right.
From like he was walking down the court and just shooting from 4 or 5 feet behind the 3-point line. And by the way, just anyone take a guess? The Thunder won the game by 30 points. Anyone want to take a guess who had the highest plus minus for Minnesota? Oh, that would be Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards was awful in this series. He was awful in look, he played 39 minutes. No other starter played more than 30. He is the most responsible player on the court. And I'll say this. I think Julius Randle was the only one that kind of showed up last night for Minnesota. And when I say kind of showed up, I don't mean like he was good, because he wasn't. He was passing the ball to the other team just like everybody else. Naz Reid was brutal. Like, you look at his stat line, you're like, he was 5 for 6. He had 11 points. You don't realize he had 4 fouls, 5 turnovers. Like, he was just throwing the ball to the other team. And to give credit where credit's due, the Thunder's defense is incredible. Alex Caruso's a thief. That guy jumps everything. If you want to throw a lazy pass in the backcourt, like as you're inbound the ball or off a defensive rebound, you better look out for Alex Caruso. Key, I know you watched the game last night. I seen you in the chat. Your thoughts on the game last night? Anything that stood out to you for Minnesota? Any signs of life?
No, there was none. From start to finish, there was none. From the first quarter, 26-9, you score 9 points. I was like, yep, it's over. There's no point of watching this no more. I think I cut off at halftime and started watching hockey. So I was watching the Panthers and Carolina game. It because even that was interesting. It was like 2-3 in the second period. So I was like, okay, I got something to look forward to. OKC's defense is amazing, right? From as soon as Anthony Edwards gets the ball, Lou Dort was already on his side of the court, on his side, forcing him, dribbling. Everywhere he dribbled, he was on his hip. Everywhere he dribbled to the left, he was on his hip. Where the screener came, they switched, and Chet was on him. It was help defense all the way around. Wherever they moved, there was a defender. Jay Will had somebody, and if that didn't work, Chet went back to help to cut off the middle. Their defense was all over the place, and Minnesota did not know what to do. If you was going to just give them the ball, you might as well just said, well, let me. That's not even come out here if you're just going to turn over the ball the way they was turning over. They had more turnover than points. You can't win basketball games like that. I give props for Julius Randle. Like you said, he wasn't the best. I mean, he did have 20 points or so, but he has been balling all playoffs. I can't give him that. So, I mean, if it wasn't for Randle in some games, Minnesota wouldn't be here. Y'all could say, oh, he beat Steph Curry. He wasn't playing. Oh, he beat LeBron. He's just the Lakers. So, Minnesota got some work to do.
So when I looked at Minnesota last night, and I'll go right to 7 here. When I looked at Minnesota last night, I looked at a team that I feel like this offseason needs to really put emphasis on TSJ and Rob Dillingham. Like, you need to make some changes and get some youthful talent in that starting lineup, guys that can create their own shot. Rob Dillingham can. Terrence Shannon Jr. definitely can. If you watch a kid play in Illinois, you know how much of a basketball player he is. I don't know why they waited so long to be able to put him into the series. Now, granted, TSJ makes some terrible defensive assignment, and I can understand sometimes why Minnesota would not have him on the court. But if you need a spark offensively, TSJ can be that Benedict Mathurin type guy that Indiana has, that instant offense that you can throw on the court. 7, I know you were doing podcasts named The Bird. I'm sure that you didn't get a chance to watch too much of the game last night. But is there any comments that you have on it before it goes on?
So I did watch the first half, which obviously that was the only part that mattered anyway. More turnovers than field goals made in the first half is a very, very damning statistic for Minnesota. The fact that Anthony Edwards had 4, Anthony Edwards had 3 turnovers. Julius Randle had 4. Those are your 2 stars. Like, I mean, it's the only thing that would have been more of an icing on the cake is if Rudy Gobert had more than one. Because, I mean, it's Minnesota showed last night they didn't deserve to be where they were at. This was a product of what we talked about. They beat a Warriors team that was without Steph Curry. If Steph is on that team, if Steph plays that whole series, this is a different series. The Lakers were a shell of themselves and forgot how to play defense at all this season. So they were not deserving of being in the Western Conference Final. But the benefit for Oklahoma is they start resting. The series isn't until next week. And if you're Indiana, you want to close it out tonight because otherwise Oklahoma is going to have a lot more rest than you do going into that series. And that series is going to go 7 games.
I don't know. I mean,
Is it?
I don't
think
think
it goes 7.
I don't think it goes 7.
Because they're not going to let Halliburton play in space the way the Knicks do. I think they're going to do him like they did like there's going to be bodies all over him. If you shut him down, you shut Indiana down.
I'm with you, Mo. I agree, but we'll find out. You guys are already writing Indiana into the finals. I'm not doing that yet.
No, I'm not writing them in, but I'm saying that, like, even in the Knicks series, why are you letting Halliburton play with so much space? I don't understand that. Why are you not attached to him at all times? I'll live with someone else on Indiana trying to create for others than Halliburton. Like, tell me who else on that team can put the ball on the floor and create for others. They don't have anybody. TJ McConnell's a really good backup, but everybody else on that team, they're finishers. They're not people that can initiate offense. So why are you letting him play in space?
I completely agree with you. I just kind of want to finalize. I want to put the nail in the Minnesota coffin real quick. Anthony Edwards, after the game, vows improvement as the Timberwolves were eliminated. I'm going to work my butt off this summer. Nobody's going to work harder than me this summer. I'll tell you that much. That was the statement that came from Anthony Edwards after the loss. They were the better team. They came out and beat us, punched us in the face, and we lost the game. We lost the series. We lost our connectivity, is what Chris Finch said. But all credit to the Thunder. They certainly deserved this. They played outstanding. We came up short in a lot of ways. Anthony Edwards is going to outwork everybody this offseason, guys. Thank you. Didn't I hear that last year? I'm almost sure that statement was said after the Dallas Mavericks series. Right. Someone let me know if I'm wrong there. But is that not what happened last year? Is that not what Anthony Edwards said last year? He's going to outwork everybody. He's ready. He's not here. He's not here.
He said that last year. He also said last year, I'm really disappointed for Mike Conley. Well, he said it again last night. He was disappointed for Mike again. And he's like, well, we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll come back next year. And I'm like, I'm not sure Mike Conley's going to be on the roster next year.
No. 21
a complete
minutes,
non-factor.
21 minutes, 0 points. Mike Conley.
He was just doing cardio.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I mean, he took 3 shots. Nickeil Alexander-Walker took 8 and didn't make any of them.
And he was doing cardio too.
Oh, Jaden McDaniels, 2 of 13. They were just, I felt like, do y'all remember Skills? Does anybody remember who Mad Skills is? He was a hip hop artist and he used to do year wrap ups. And he made a diss track to Shaq. Him and Shaq had like a beef like back in the late 90s. And the song goes, when you're at the foul line, I feel bad for you, son. You could shoot 99 free throws and wouldn't hit one. And I felt like I was watching the Minnesota Timberwolves go, I won't even bend our knees. We just throw that shit up. Like, because that is exactly what it looked like. We're just throwing stuff at the backboard and hope it goes in. Thanks. It looked terrible. The nail in the coffin's in Minnesota. We got to move forward. I don't need to talk about this anymore. The Thunder have a week off. The Thunder played great basketball. I think that's a bad thing for the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'll say this. I think that their depth is strong. And I think that when you look at that Thunder team, you would want, and just me personally, Give me 2 days off. Give me 3 days off. I don't want to be off for a whole week. I don't want to be off like resting for a week. I feel like that creates a little stagnant. That slows their momentum down. Now, I think they're a much better team than either team they play in the Eastern Conference. However, who do you think would be the better matchup for the Thunder? The Pacers, who it looks like it's going to be, or the Knicks? Mo, you're the basketball guy. You're always going to start on this.
I would go with the Pacers. I just think that they can match them in depth. And they already start off wanting to play fast. So I think the Pacers present a bigger challenge than the Knicks. You're not going to beat OKC with a ball dominant scorer. I love Jalen Brunson, but the way the Knicks play offense plays right into Oklahoma City's defense. They're locking that down. In that series, Cat is a non-factor in that series. In that series, it's not even close because they're gonna lock Cat down and they're gonna always have two people on Brunson. They're gonna say we're gonna live with Bridges, Hart, and OG. If any of them could drop 30 and beat us, we'll take the L. That's not gonna happen.
Completely agree with you. I think that the worst matchup for the Thunder would be the Pacers because I think the Pacers have players that can play with Oklahoma City. I think Oklahoma City wins no matter who they play. But with that being said, I do think that Indiana poses a little bit more of a threat to them and can catch them. Look, we look at Indiana. Key, let me ask you a question real quick. I'm going to go back and forth here. When Indiana played Milwaukee, who was the favorite in the series?
Indy.
No, Milwaukee was.
Oh,
when Indiana played Cleveland, who was the favorite in the series?
You said Cleveland?
Indiana played Cleveland. Who was the favorite in the series?
Cleveland.
Milwaukee was the favorite? Really?
They were the favorite. 4-5 matchup.
I would
minus 135 favorite.
No, I know they were the 4-5, but anybody that saw the two teams, I didn't pick.
Right.
I don't know who picked Milwaukee to beat them because there's no way they were going to beat them.
It was Vegas because of Giannis. That's all it was. That's all it was.
That's fair. But now Indiana played New York, and New York was the favorite in the series.
Right.
So Indiana has not been the favorite in any series. And if you're looking for Cinderella to bring her glass slipper to the ball to go against the number 1 overall seed in the Oklahoma City Thunder, I think that's going to create some really good basketball games. And it really depends on how Indiana – I think they're going to get avalanched in Oklahoma City. And if they can steal one in Oklahoma City, they can win the NBA Finals. I don't think they will. I think it all depends on how Indiana reacts at home. Indiana has the depth with Nembhard, with Mathurin, with Naismith, with Pascal Siakam, Miles Turner. Miles Turner is a great matchup for Chet Holmgren. Great matchup for Chet Holmgren. I think that there's matchups problems for Indiana and Oklahoma City in that series. So we'll see how that plays out. We'll get into Knicks versus Pacers later on in the show. Going to preview that a little bit later, but I do want to kind of move to MLB for a minute. And Seven, look, I'll be very clear here. The first thing I'm going to ask you is this. New York fans are doing their absolute best. Their absolute best to hide what's going on with Juan Soto. Nope, we still see it. It's still there. It's just he's hitting the ball well. He's batting 224 right now.
Yeah.
He's hitting it hard. The exit ratio, his walks are there. The OBP. Like I hear all the excuses right now. Paid the man $700 million. Look, I understand baseball is not won in April and May, but it definitely can be lost. Your thoughts on Juan Soto? Is it him just taking time to adjust to a new situation, to a new city, or is there real maybe we overpaid him? Maybe he got paid and didn't care anymore. What's your thoughts on Juan Soto?
So I think there's a couple of things here. I do think the adjustment has been kind of hard for Juan Soto. I think that he had, because of experience with the Yankees, he had certain expectations going to the Mets, and they just aren't there because it's a different organization. It's a different fan base. I do, however, think that part of this is Juan Soto got overpaid. When teams like Boston and the Yankees, who are notorious for overpaying players, go, I'm out, that's a sign. It's just like when Xander Bogaerts went to San Diego. When San Diego said, we're going to throw a bunch of money at you, Boston was like, yeah, he's not worth that. Everybody was like, are you crazy? He's one of the best shortstops in the league. What has Xander Bogaerts done since he went to San Diego? Not a damn thing. So it's, for me, when I look at Juan Soto, I do think there's a period of adjustment. But at the same time, you're the $700 million man. You don't get as much leeway as Marcelo Mayer, who just got called up by Boston Red Sox. He's got room to fail. You're a $700 million man. You're playing your worst season in your career so far when you just got the highest contract ever in baseball history.
Yep.
The scrutiny is the scrutiny is going to be there no matter what. But I also think at this point it's deserved, because 224 at this point in the season, Rafi Devers started 0 for 20 and is now on pace for 37 home runs. That's it's the Mets have a problem. I think it's solvable, but I don't know that. But the truth of the matter is, at some point they've got to accept they're never going to get $700 million worth of baseball out of Juan Soto. It's just not going to happen.
I think that, when I watch Juan Soto, and his career has been pretty much the same every single year. He has over a 400 OBP every single year. This is a career low. He's at 352. He bats over 250 every single year. This is a career low right now. He's at 224. He has 8 home runs, which is light, but it's not crazy for this point in the season. His WAR is at 1.5. The one thing I noticed, I was very shocked with this. He has 7 stolen bases. Did he lose weight this offseason? Did he get quicker? I've never looked at Juan Soto. This is actually third in his career for most stolen bases in a season. Is he trying to be a little bit better as far as running the bases? Did he change something in this offseason, Steven?
There's always been speed there for Juan Soto. I think it was more just about attempts before, because he's quick on his feet, and he's got a good and he can shorten that run and stay on the inside of the bases, so he's at the shortest point. He's got good instincts. He knows the game. So I think it's a combination of just experience finally kicking in. And I do think that he probably, did a bunch of cardio in the offseason. He had plenty of time.
See, I don't think that's what I'm saying. My whole point was, I don't think he's taking the $700 million contract not seriously. I think you ever get in that situation with baseball where you're just trying too hard and it's not letting the game come to you. I think it's more of that. I think you might see a second half of now. Cottrell said in the chat, he goes, "We see this all the time. Frankie was terrible his first year in New York, but I don't think they have a year." He said, "We'll see. We see this all the time. Just give him a year." I don't think they have a year. You can't pay someone that much money and not compete for the postseason when you were in the postseason last year. So
they gave up a AAA team. They gave up a AAA baseball team to have the money for Juan Soto. They don't have a year. They got rid of part of their farm system to be able to have him. He needs to produce. I understand baseball is a game of failure. You can only succeed 3 times out of 10 at the plate, and you're an MVP candidate, and you're in the Hall of Fame. Juan Soto should be at that number because of the money that he's making. That it comes with expectations when you get paid like that. Like when Patrick Mahomes got that big paycheck, there were immediately expectations on Patrick Mahomes. When Aaron Judge got paid, the expectations continued. When we saw the pay increase for the WNBA players with the new TV deals, expectations increased. It's at every level. It's not just because he's a $700 million man. When the money goes up, the standards go up. That's the way it works in anywhere. He's got to start producing.
I hear you. Do want to ask you a question I asked Mo yesterday, and we had this discussion yesterday. I would love to get your opinion on it. Shohei Ohtani. Is Shohei Ohtani, when it's all said and done, I made this claim yesterday, and I want you to tell me I'm nuts. I want you to tell me I'm crazy. When it's all said and done, will Shohei Ohtani be the best player to ever play baseball?
No.
Tell me why.
So he is a very elite player at specific things, especially when it comes to hitting. He is a great hitter.
Okay.
On the pitching side, the pitching side of it, he's above average.
Okay.
He's an above average pitcher. But the situation that they're going to be in now with his arm, he's on his second Tommy John surgery.
Yep.
He can't start anymore. For the rest of his career, when he pitches, he's a reliever, probably a closer, like Mariano Rivera, but he can also hit. And so you have a guy that DH
ever.
I'm sold. Mariano Rivera.
I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Mariano Rivera. I'm just saying, like, he's going to be in that role where he's going to play DH, and then in the ninth inning he comes out and pitches. That's good. That's going to be what Shohei does for the rest of his career. And there are so many players within baseball that made so much of an impact, even though they aren't two-way players, that it's hard to give him credit, because essentially when you look at Shohei, he's a DH and a pitcher. So he plays two sides like any fielder, infielder or outfielder, the catcher. He just only plays one side of the defensive side, 1 to 2 innings a game tops. And so I don't, to be I feel like to be a true two-way player, because Babe Ruth hit and pitched for 9 innings.
That's not what happened. That's not accurate.
He pitched extended periods in games. And so and we have to compare him to Babe Ruth, because Babe Ruth is the only other dominant two-way player that's ever existed in baseball. There's been a couple others that have tried. Babe Ruth is the only one that was dominant.
But he didn't exist in baseball. Babe Ruth wasn't a pitcher when he went to New York. Babe Ruth was a pitcher for Boston. And when they realized they could have his bat in the lineup every single day, they moved him from a pitcher to a hitter. This is not Babe Ruth. And Babe Ruth hit home runs before anybody else could play baseball that wasn't white. I'm not going to let you live on the. I'm not going to let you live on the Babe Ruth hill. You can't live there. If you're going to tell me Shohei Ohtani is not going to be the greatest baseball player to ever live, you have to give me a player that you think is the greatest baseball player to ever live without saying Babe Ruth.
Okay, all right. So I would say that the greatest baseball player that ever lived.
Yep,
it's Greg Maddux.
See, that's just a one.
No. Listen. No. Listen. And the reason why, because Greg Maddux didn't need velocity. He didn't need spin rate. He didn't need all that crap that they look at now.
Okay.
He had 2 pitches. So you had a 50% chance of what you were expecting. And he still beat you unless your name was Tony Gwynn.
Okay.
Everybody, any of the elite players in his era, and that's late 70s to early 90s, when he was at the top of his game, which, by the way, that's a 15-year period there where he was absolutely elite. He was unfreaking beatable. And
but Greg Maddux isn't even in the discussion. In order to be the best baseball player, he's not. Might be one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but he can't be the great. Here, I'll make your argument for you. Your argument's Willie Mays. And can Shohei Ohtani be better than Willie Mays? That's the argument that we need to look at. Shohei Ohtani, I just want to read this out for you, Seven, and I need you to try to take. You might not like Shohei. You might be a naysayer for Shohei Ohtani, and that's okay. You're allowed to be. But I want to read this out to you. Last year, this man batted .310, had 54 home runs, 59 stolen bases, a .646 slugging percentage, and a 1.036 OPS. That is absurd. He is a 3-time MVP. 3 times. Not once, not twice. 3-time MVP. And the year he finished second, most people argue, was one of his best years. He finished second because Vlad Guerrero at the Triple Crown. The point that I'm making is, if his man continues on the trajectory that he's on right now, do you know last year what his WAR was as a DH? Do you know how tough it is to have a 10 WAR being a DH? Do you realize how absolutely absurd that is?
I will say that he's definitely gonna end up as the best DH in history, and that's saying somebody that is a rampant David Ortiz fan.
Okay,
I will get, but here's the thing: for me, I have a hard time labeling somebody as the best player in baseball, and this isn't just about Shohei Ohtani, because I think Shohei Ohtani is great for baseball. I love watching him hit. I like it when I get to see him pitch. Like he's like I said, he's an above average pitcher.
The top 5 pitcher
But
in baseball when healthy.
For me, with being when you're going to label somebody the greatest player in baseball, when their primary skill is being a DH, that's really hard for me because
What's his primary skill though? The guy had 2 Tommy John surgeries. That's not his fault. He got injured. Now, all right, let me just say this. Let's say he doesn't have another shoulder surgery. 7. Let's say he does not have another shoulder surgery, and he becomes a very above average closer for the rest of his career, and he continues on his hitting trajectory. Would you then concede the fact that he could be the greatest baseball player ever to live?
He's definitely, no matter what, I think he's top 5. I will say that. There's no denying the greatness of Shohei Ohtani as far as him being up there in that tier. But for me, when I look at it, the fielding impact, because there's 2 sides to baseball, hitting and fielding. Whether you're a pitcher, infield, outfield, whatever, there's 2 sides to baseball. His impact on the fielding side with his pitching is so small, unless he becomes a better closer than Mariano Rivera, and he goes seasons without giving up more than a couple of runs. It's hard to go the greatest ever because of the fact that his impact on the defensive side isn't really there. And yes, I understand that it's not exactly his fault because of health issues, but if we're going to take away credit, if we're going to stop counting health issues, there's a lot of players in every sport that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, the funny thing that you brought up was you brought in the fielding side of it, right? But you also mentioned Babe Ruth, and a lot of people would mention Ted Williams. Babe Ruth was so fat they had to pull him out of right field. He was a cone out there. Just because he played right field doesn't mean he was a good fielder. He was a below average fielder. If they had defensive run saves, in the 1920s, the fat boy wouldn't be in right field. I'm sorry. Ted Williams was a cone in left field. He was awful. He was a cone. So we're talking about these guys that can play the field. I'm sorry the Dodgers have better fielders that can go play the field, and the DH is a universal position. The truth is this. We cannot hold that against the man. The greatest hitter to ever play the game is Ted Williams. The greatest defensive player ever to play the game is either Ozzie Smith or Willie Mays. The greatest all-around baseball player is Barry Bonds on steroids. But the greatest baseball player ever when it's all said and done will be Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, hold on. Right there next to Barry Bonds on steroids. Don't get this mixed up. Barry Bonds without steroids, because he had a Hall of Fame career before he ever stuck a needle in him.
You're absolutely right. But the problem, and that's what makes people hate him so much more. He was so great before he stuck a needle in him. But the greatest hitter ever is Barry Bonds on steroids. No arguments.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. There's
all right. Last thing on baseball, and I need to get your opinion on this. You brought this topic up to me, and I think it's great, but I don't know much about it. So I'd like you to educate our listeners on what's coming down with the MLB purchasing the equity stake in the AUSL.
So there's been talk that there was going to be a partnership with Major League Baseball and the AUSL for a while. For those of you that don't know, the AUSL is a pro women's softball league. Their inaugural game is actually June 7th. ESPN picked up a contract with them. They're going to show 33 games this summer. And obviously there's so much talent in women's softball. I'm surprised it's taken this long for something like this to take off. But it was announced this morning that the MLB made a sizable investment, including adding they are going to show games on some of the AUSL games on MLB TV. I'm sorry, on MLB Network. The games will be available on MLB TV. They are going to feature the athletes at the MLB All-Star Game and during the MLB postseason to continue to raise promotion and put a sizable investment behind this league so that it doesn't just get going, but it sticks around. And those are exact words from the release. And I think that's fantastic because it adds another layer. It's very difficult for women to make headway in professional baseball as far as playing is concerned, just because of the way that the game is. It's not saying that they can't, it's just difficult. And most women, when they come up and they're playing the game, they're playing softball.
Okay.
So it's far more reasonable to put them in a position where they can be successful with that, with how they actually learn how to play the game, than trying to make these players go from a ball that comes in an underhand and is bigger to an overhand and is smaller and is usually 20 to 30 miles per hour faster. Because we're seeing right now, out of top tier pitchers in college, we're seeing about an 80 mile an hour fastball. 79 to 80 is kind of where the top end of it goes. And you've got guys like Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal that are thrown over a bill. Like that's a dramatic difference.
From a shorter, aren't they pitching from a shorter distance in softball? Yes. So like it comes in, it feels like 105, right?
Oh yeah, because you have, I think it's like key. You might know this. I think it's like 5 or 10 feet shorter is the mound.
Yeah. And don't let that name softball fool you, because that crap ain't soft when you get hit by one.
No. I played men's fast pitch when I was in 8th grade and freshman year, because I was this really small town and that's all they had. And I got hit once and it was like 75 and it hit the ribs and I thought it broke ribs and I had a bruise for like 2 weeks. It's hard pass on that.
First stop taking them off my shins.
No. But yeah, like it's so this is a good project, because we do have an actual women's pro baseball league that is rumored to be starting either, I've heard, in the fall, but I've also heard it may go into 2026. That is coming down the pipe. Erica on Podcast Name Deferred, she's been trying to stay up on that stuff and get us more information on it, but there hasn't really been a lot released on it. But for right now, the AUSL is just a couple of weeks away. I'll definitely be popping in here and through Podcast Name Deferred, updating on that stuff. But it's the MLB is throwing supporter behind it, and I have to say that this is the first time in a long time I've seen Robert Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, behind something and not immediately gotten pissed off. So good for him for doing something that actually makes sense for a change.
Kevin, thank you so much for the baseball updates. I appreciate it. I love that Major League Baseball is doing a great job with getting behind the women's sports and kind of like following suit what the NBA did with the WNBA. And that's the perfect segment to where we're about to go. And Key, I'd love to have you on here today. I love talking sports with you. The WNBA is back in full steam. They're ready to rock and roll. The Minnesota Lynx, they look great. Obviously, New York Liberty, they're undefeated. A lot of these teams are coming out the gate strong. The one thing I want to talk about two things with the W, and I want to get your opinion on it. Number one, obviously, the biggest news right now in the W is Caitlin Clark's injury. She's out for 2 weeks for the Indiana Fever. Last night was their first game without Caitlin Clark, and that team that was put up as a team that has all this talent, they added all this talent around her. Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, DeWanna Bonner, Lexi Hull, Sophia Cunningham. These are all names in the W. That roster alone should have been able to beat the Washington Mystics last night. They did not. Brittany Sykes went off, had 21 points. Not sure how much of the W you've seen last night. It was their prime time game. Key, talk to us about the W. Talk to us about the impact of the Caitlin Clark injury, and then we'll get into something else I kind of want to get your opinion on.
So Caitlin Clark, regardless, we know she's a great 3-point shooter, but also she's a good facilitator and she sees the floor very well. So that 2-man game her and Aaliyah Boston has, nobody could do that. Nobody can do that as best as them two, because what happens is she'll set the screen, she'll go roll out. Caitlin Clark picks her off and sees her right away. That's how she had 27 points in that game against New York. Aaliyah Boston has been playing very well. Not last night. She wasn't in double figures at all last night. DeWanna Bonner was. So now that they take Aaliyah Boston out of the picture, DeWanna Bonner has to step up and score her points. When Caitlin Clark's in there, Aaliyah Boston's getting fed. Bonner will come off the bench, but she's not herself like she was in Phoenix. So they gotta find who's the number 2 and the number 3 while Caitlin's not there. Yeah, you got Kelsey Mitchell coming off as the number 2 while she's not there. She did score, but you still have to find ways to implement these players and to still take the load and still be able to win. I thought they still would be able to beat Washington without Caitlin Clark. Because again, Aaliyah Boston's in that middle for a reason. Hall can shoot the 3. Cunningham is good. And then you got DeWanna Bonner, third all time passing Tina Thompson. There's no way I should have lost to Washington, but I gotta kind of recant my statement here because Washington surprising me very well this year. They're not playing half bad. So especially with Kiki down there, she might get Rookie of the Year the way she's playing. But yeah, I was very surprised that Indy couldn't beat Washington. So they're definitely missing Caitlin Clark as far as the shooting and the facilitating go.
You talk about Kiki down there. She's having a great start. Also, Sonia Citron, who's a rookie also. And basically, the Fever last night got beat by a pair of rookies and Brittany Sykes. That's what happened last night. And look, I will ask you this, though. If you had to project the Rookie of the Year, and your 3 options right now are Kiki, Sonia, and Paige Buckets. Paige Beckers, but I call her Paige Buckets for my man Cottrell. Who would be your projection who wins WNBA Rookie of the Year?
Well, Paige is starting to come into her. Now you're starting to see she's getting implemented to the game. She catches the pace. She knows now. She did have 21 points, that game a couple nights ago. But if she starts to get into the flow of things, she could take that away from Kiki. But right now, my front runner is Kiki.
Okay. Liking it. And then the last thing I want to ask you, I asked Mo this yesterday. And Mo, I'd love to get your takes on everything I just asked Key. But one thing I do want to kind of understand a little bit more is, did you watch the Chicago Sky Phoenix Mercury game the other night?
Jesus Christ. I didn't see all of it, but I've seen enough to know what happened.
The hit. I love the hit. Look, first of all the people that were, and I'm one of them. I got to make an omission myself. I'm like, Caitlin Clark fouled Angel Reese real hard, and Angel Reese wanted to go at Caitlin Clark, but she didn't go at Alyssa Thomas last year. She didn't do that. Well, I got to shut my mouth because it looked like Angel Reese was ready for that moment. Alyssa, she set a blindside screen on Alyssa Thomas and put her on her ass. And if anybody didn't know what getting your lick back meant, that was getting your lick back. Angel Reese absolutely put a little extra sauce on that screen. Your thoughts on Angel responding to what last year what Alyssa Thomas did?
I mean, that was last year. That was her rookie. That was welcome to the NFL. I mean, welcome to the NFL. Welcome to the WNBA, Rook. This is what we're going to get. So now that your sophomore year, you're still young, but you're not a rookie no more. So for her to get her lick back, I like it. That saying, okay, you're just not going to rough me around. I don't care who you is. You can be a vet in this league. You can be here 4, 5, 20 years here playing, but you're not going to punk me like that. So I like that she got her lick back. So now people know, okay, she's going to get her licks back now. If we doing something hard. So she's going to come back at it. She's just not going to sit there and just take it. She's going to dish it out a little bit. So I kind of like that. She's just not going to say, oh, I'm not going to get punked. So getting a lick back on the veteran like AT was good. So I don't have no issues with it.
I loved it. Mo, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Key. WNBA Rookie of the Year. It's basically a 3-horse race right now. Everybody else is nowhere near like this top 3. It's Kiki, Sonia Citron, and Paige Beckers. Paige is obviously the heavy betting favorite because she was the number 1 overall pick. She's the biggest name on this list. And it would probably be best for the W if she wins. But statistically, she's 3rd right now. Now, granted, it's only 5 games into the season, 6 games into the season. We still got a long season to go. We've seen how slow Caitlin Clark started last year, and she finished 4th in MVP votes. So, obviously things can happen. With Washington, you have 2 rookies that basically run the team. So the opportunities are there between Kiki and Sonia Citron. With Dallas, you obviously have a couple more. You have Dejanay Carrington. And the group in Dallas, Paige is, I don't want to say a role player. He's obviously going to be the star player. but she's not walking into Dallas and being their best player right away.
No.
So your thoughts on who the rookie of the year would be? Obviously, Arika Ogunbowale is there. Obviously, Dejanay Carrington's over there in Dallas. But Paige Becker's 14 and a half points per game already, 6.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds. You obviously have Sonia Citron. She's averaging 15 points a game. And Kiki's averaging 14.8. So who's your rookie of the year? Not now, projected.
I think when it's all said and done, though, I think it's going to be Paige Beckers. I think Paige Beckers is going to get better as the season moves along. As she adjusts to the speed and the physicality of the game, like others have, she's too good a player. Like that, she's averaging 16 a game or 14 a game. I think by season's end, she'll be around 18 a game and average around 7.5 assists a game. Her shooting percentages, her shooting splits will be better. I do think that Sonia Citron is going to have a terrific rookie season. But like you said, we're just 5 games in. It's a marathon, and that marathon, I think Paige Becker's the better player, by the way. Paige Buckets will step up and be rookie of the year.
Yeah, first rookie or second rookie ever to have a 25-5 night on 80% shooting. That is that's impressive. You know, like you see every year, you see these WNBA rookies breaking these records. Like I seen a stat a couple weeks ago where I think that Caitlin Clark is now 3rd on the all-time list of 20.10 assist games, 50 games into her career. I love seeing things like that. When you start seeing records being broken and more talent coming into the WNBA, it's great. We've always made it a focus to talk about the WNBA on Wire to Wire Network. We are going to continue to support women's sports as we wish the rest of the country would. Okay, back to the NBA. We have a game tonight. Mo, you're my guy. I need you to break down what happens tonight in the New York Knicks versus Indiana Pacers game. The questions that I have are this, and you might know better than me. Karl-Anthony Towns, is he playing tonight? Is injury like enough for him to play? Aaron Naismith, is he playing tonight? Because that's a huge loss to the Indiana Pacers if Naismith's not playing. He is the primary guard for Jalen Brunson. Your thoughts on tonight's game 5? Should Indiana sit Naismith, or do you think they need to try to push him, play, win tonight, or should they punt and try to get that game 6 and get Naismith healthy?
I think Towns is going to play. He's going to give it a go. In terms of Naismith, I think he does play, but I don't think they start him out on Brunson. Look, the way this series has played out, it's been the Pacers' pace versus the Knicks' methodical walking up half court offense. I actually think tonight you're going to get the best defensive effort from the Knicks. I do think that I think you're going to get a better defensive effort. I think they're going to pick Halliburton up earlier. I think you have to pick him up earlier. If you really watch Halliburton and you've studied him, he's got a good handle, but it's not a super tight handle. He's got a high dribble. He's got more of a deliberate dribble. I think you have to pick him up 94 feet and turn him. And you can absolutely turn him because he has a deliberate handle. And I think if you can turn him and wear him down, you can take the ball out of his hands. If you take the ball out of his hands, their offense isn't nearly as efficient or effective. So I think I have to assume, I could be wrong, that Tom Thibodeau is watching that tape and sees where he needs to attack Halliburton defensively. I think he has to watch tape and realize Brunson's our guy, but it's really important that we get Bridges and OG involved in the offense early. I think you have to get those guys off early in the game because Brunson can always get his. We all notice he can always get his. If they get off earlier, I think that gives more opportunity for Cat, Brunson, Miles McBride, and others to be more productive. I think Indiana's coming in to try to end the series. I think this is going to be potentially the best game of the series, but I'm going to pick the Knicks to win tonight.
I don't know how it could be better than game 1. Man, game 1 was incredible. Look, this entire series, not one game has been won by 10 points or more. It's been every game has been in question coming down the stretch. I'm very interested to see how tonight plays out because I want, and selfishly, I don't care who wins the series. I legitimately don't. For selfish reasons, I want the Knicks to win the series because I picked them in 7.
Right.
I want to be right, but don't care. New York's a rival of the Philadelphia 76ers. They lose, oh well. Obviously like Brunson, obviously like Hart, obviously like Mikal, my Villanova guys. But if they lose, I'm okay with it. If Indiana loses, I'm okay with it. What I want, and selfishly, is more basketball. I do not want to go I don't want to go a week without watching NBA basketball. Because that's what's going to happen. When are the finals set to kick off?
Next Thursday.
So that's my point. We go a whole week without basketball if the Pacers win tonight. I don't want that. If I get a game 6 on Saturday and I get a game 7 on Monday, I could take Tuesday, Wednesday off and get ready for an NBA Finals. I don't want that. I want a game 6. I want a game 7. This is too freaking good. I enjoy it too much.
We deserve a game 7. After the Minnesota series, we deserve a game 7.
We all knew that wasn't going to be a game, though, last night. Me and you talked about that. You said, I think it's a competitive first quarter, and the game is over. I said, I think it's a competitive first half, and I think the game's over. And guess what? We were both wrong. The game wasn't competitive at all.
Right.
I initially said Pacers in 6. I think the Knicks find a way to get it done tonight. And they're in New York, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks get it done at home and then go back to Indy, and that's where Indy's going to win it at. I could be wrong, but I picked the Pacers in 6. So I think the Knicks will come out a little bit better. Like Mo said, they gotta pick up Holly same way like Dort does with Ant and everybody else. You gotta, if you know he's the main ball handler, you gotta pick him up early, try to get some turnovers off points, transition. The Knicks aren't that great. In my opinion, defensively. But you got to stop Halliburton somehow, some way. If you stop Halliburton, he can't get others involved. But we did see that one game when Holly didn't really shoot well. Siakam stepped up. So we'll see though. But I got the Knicks pulling this one out.
I love it. Love hearing it. Love 7. You got the Knicks. Keys got the Knicks. Mo's got the Knicks. Selfishly, I have the Knicks just because I want to watch more basketball. I do. I want to watch more basketball. 7, who wins tonight?
It's the Pacers, guys. Come on, quit playing around. It's the Pacers. The Pacers are going to close this out. I don't know if you guys just haven't been watching the same game that I have, but the Knicks aren't keeping up with the Pacers, with very limited exception. The Pacers have controlled the pace through almost the entire series. They have controlled the pace. Tyrese Halliburton is playing unreal basketball right now. And I do think that you're right that Oklahoma is gonna definitely make him much less of a factor when we get into the finals. But as much as I would love to have more basketball, I don't know that the Knicks have it in them. If Cat wasn't limited, because I know he's probably going to play tonight. I know that, they're not going to say that they're putting him on a minutes restriction or anything like that, but he's obviously injured. Especially after we went up at, with the injury in the last game. Like I was worried he wasn't gonna be able to play that in that game.
Right. Because
he was down for a minute. And that collision, especially it looked like they went knee on knee, that always hurts. That always hurts. But I think that the Knicks weren't ready for the pace that the Pacers play the game. And I think that that's going to continue to be a factor tonight. And you 10, 15 point game tops. Like, I don't think it's going to be a super blowout like what last night was. But it's the Pacers close it out tonight.
Okay. It's not that I don't agree with you, and I think what you're saying is correct. The Indiana Pacers have played at a better pace, and you're correct. So when you look at the scores in this series, the only game the Knicks won was 106-100. The other games in the series where they played in the 120s, the 119s, the 130s, the Pacers won. So when the pace is high, the Pacers win. Most said that before the series even started. I'm just being selfish, and I know I'm a selfish person. I fully understand that. I just want more basketball.
Yeah. 7, I hope you're wrong, because if you're right, not only are we done with basketball, Tom Thibodeau's going to have to put his house up for sale.
I hope that. I think that's the thing, though, Mo. I think the Knicks, does this sound crazy for me to say? I think if the Knicks get blown out tonight, it might be the best thing that ever happened to them.
Really? Oh, you mean because Tibbs is gonna be gone?
They can't win. They cannot win a championship with Tibbs. And
Yeah.
if the closer they get, the more they can't fire him. And it's like I said this last night on Wire to Wire. Tyrese Halliburton is the most important person for the Indiana Pacers right now. The second most important person for the Indiana Pacers is Rick Carlisle, because he's winning his matchup over Tom Thibodeau more than anyone else is winning their matchup in this series.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Plus, Carlisle uses his bench. Mather and Toppin, TJ McConnell. Tibbs, what? You finally want to use Precious Achiuwa now? Mitchell Robinson, if he gets in foul trouble, especially if Cat's limited the way he is, we know he's going to play. And Mitchell Robinson gets in foul trouble, who you got left?
My favorite line was Kenny Smith said that Tibbs wouldn't play 9 players if it was a baseball game. I love that.
And it's so accurate though. It's the truth.
That's a bar right there.
That Kenny Smith has a few bars like that. It's Tom Thibodeau is a liability, and it's not just because he looks like a disgruntled middle school PE teacher. It's because, like we talked about all season, he is running those guys into the ground. If Ant wasn't playing 40 minutes a game, there's much less of a chance that he's injured right now. I'm sorry, not Cat. Sorry, Cat. And it's a problem.
I hear you. And I'm not, listen, I think Tibbs is the problem. We have 3 minutes left, and I want to just read this topic and get just a quick reaction. You guys all remember the NCAA tournament. Wire to Wire did a great, bracket tournament for the NCAA basketball tournament, right? Former St. John's star R.J. Lewis. If you guys don't remember him, he's the one that Rick Pitino put on the bench for the last 5 minutes of the game.
Right.
As St. John's was being eliminated. The best, Big East player of the year sat on the bench the last 5 minutes as their team was eliminated. We obviously thought he was going to go into the transfer portal. Well, R.J. Lewis is remaining in the NBA draft. He has an agent, and is keeping his name in the NBA draft. Lewis was the best player available in the transfer portal, recruited by North Carolina, Kansas, Ole Miss, Villanova, and Georgetown. He's a 6'7" forward that plays good defensively. He averaged 18.2 points per game, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He's going in the NBA draft. How criminal of a move is this for RJ Lewis? This is, in my opinion, it's an awful move.
Yeah.
I would love someone to tell me it's not.
I'll be the first one to respond. I don't know if he doesn't get drafted until late second round, or if he gets drafted at all.
Correct.
At all. I'm just being real. So whoever's been talking to him, they're giving this young man bad information.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that he doesn't go in the first round at all. And I think that anybody that's talking to him, that's telling him to go into the NBA draft, is an absolute mistake. There's a lot of blue chip talent in this class, and he needs to have a season in which he goes out on top, where he's playing, not sitting on the bench the final 5 minutes of your game for St. John's as a 2 seed that went out too early. Not the guy that fell apart when the moment was big. Like, he's not a projected first round draft pick. He's not a projected lottery pick. He is a late second round projection. I don't know what in the world would possess this man to think that he should be playing going into the NBA draft instead of going to North Carolina, go to Villanova,
Right.
go to Duke.
Nova? I would have loved him in Nova.
So my question is, this is the only way it could make sense to me. Because when you get, if he gets, he's late second round, realistically probably going to be a G League guy for at least the start of the season next year.
Yes,
Like that's completely reasonable.
absolutely.
But the coaching that he's going to get, and the facilities that he's going to get are more NBA related. So
You think the coach in the G League is better than it's going to be in North Carolina?
I'm not to say better,
Okay.
more NBA related,
Okay.
like closer to what he's going to deal with when he's an NBA player. So the only thing that makes sense to me is he's just wanting to get closer, even if he could be at North Carolina or Kansas or Villanova for a year and probably get close to an NCAA title and get that first round, lottery closer to the at least first round, maybe a lottery pick type position. And then he's just waiting. He probably he's sick of waiting. And so he's going to listen to the first person that's going to tell him he doesn't have to.
I get it.
I'm not
You
saying
got
he's
guys
right,
like
but that's the
you
only thing that
got
makes
guys
sense to me.
You got guys like Chaz Lanier. You got guys like Johnny Broom. You got guys like Walter Clayton Jr. that are projected to go 30th and into the second round. Like, he's not better than any of those guys. And I think that he's making a massive mistake. We're at our time. We have to close out. Steven, I truly appreciate having you on. Podcast Name Deferred. Make sure you check him out. One of the best baseball minds. Between Podcast Name Deferred and Up and In, we have some great baseball shows. Check it out. Key, appreciate you. I think you'll be back on tomorrow with Mo and Brett. Hoop Dreams, TD Queens with Jory Saturday nights. Mo, do me a favor and close us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.
We'll see y'all tonight for N1 and tomorrow for Coffee and Sports. Have a good one.